Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Nightmare Hour. Yes, that podcast that you totally forgot about. Like, we're back. We're actually doing an episode. I'm Eric Havens here with my compatriot, my podcast partner, my bestie, my uh, other adjectives that are all glowing, Adam Roberts.
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah, it
You
does feel
are.
like we did a pretty good size episode on Colts, and then
Then we had all these promises that we didn't come through with at all.
well,
Like, we're going to talk about.
we actually talked a lot about Colts, and
We
then
did, but we'll talk about all these movies, and there's not been an episode since. So, but life is hard. Like,
yeah,
I don't know what else to say. Like, life is really hard.
in 2020,
sure
it's very difficult for everybody.
And we're like some of the most privileged dudes in the world, and it's hard for us. So I can't imagine everybody else. But like, thank you for being patient. Thank you for still keeping us in your feeds. If you're hearing our voices, we'll try. We're going to try really hard to be better at this. But
Well, I think this month, I think we were, you know, we have multiple jobs. We both have multiple jobs, but one of yours involves working in a school, and that's all back to school. You also had your first feature film premiere. You've been a visit, so you had to do press and stuff for that. I had a business close, unfortunately, so I had to do all that stuff, and I took
COVID.
I took an 8-day sabbatical in a cabin by myself where I just didn't do anything. So
anything creepy happen? Was it like a Johnny Depp?
It's always creepy when you're in the middle of we're like purely, so it's a family cabin. And it was a $200 vacation for 8 days, and it was just food and booze. And it was great.
Those. Yeah.
And there was no technology, no phone, no internet. It was read a book, hang out. But you're really in the middle of nowhere where there's nothing around, so your mind starts to wander differently than it does here.
Mm-hmm.
At least for me, you're purely you can't see 50 feet away from you, wherever the light is, and there's no electricity, and it's just like,
could you see like the Milky Way and stuff when you looked up?
Oh yeah, you can see the Milky Way.
I love that.
It's incredible. Like, you look up, you're like, oh, I can just see the Milky Way. Like,
there's the universe, everybody.
Yeah. like we can see like
if you've never
stars.
Gone, like I could not recommend this. Like, if you can afford, like, somehow find a way to afford it and do it, go somewhere that's like desolate, like in the middle of Colorado or something, and just stay and look up at the sky. It is incredible. There's so much we don't see.
Well, we look at shooting stars and, like, big times of the year when there's asteroids and asteroid fields and stuff happening. And there are like these big moments. You just go to somewhere like Colorado or New Mexico where there's no city lights, and you're far, far away. Not just 30 minutes. You're hundreds of miles away from any big lights or even small cities.
Mm-hmm.
And any night you look up for 5 minutes, you're seeing shooting at least a few shooting stars.
Yeah,
you can just see it. It's wild.
And it's crazy. Like, from my experience, especially in Colorado, when you're at higher elevation, like, the sky is closer. So like all that, it's like, I don't know, panorama, like oscilloscope, all that crazy theater stuff. It's just like, it's IMAX. That's what it is.
It is IMAX. It's hard not to just look up. But it was a great time. But yeah, we apologize. We wanted to do, there's still plenty of Colts on the horizon. I think we had a good episode setting it up. But we never got around to
the Colts aren't going anywhere.
They're not, everything we were going to do was kind of old timey. But it's the best time of year. Shit, man. I don't even know when the last time we did a podcast. Is it 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago?
I think it was like a month ago. I don't know.
No, it was at the beginning of September. So we're still in September.
I know tomorrow's the beginning of October.
And that's what we're doing this. So hope this will probably release tomorrow, I'm guessing, right?
Or this evening. I don't know.
Okay, it'll be. Let's keep it in September. But we had all these things happen, and then just life. We try to do everything, and we literally talk about it all the time. We're like, you want to try Fit Up Pod? And it was just between all the stuff that was kind of out of our control and things popping up quickly.
Yeah,
it just became really hard to do. So, but fortunately, a lot of those things, those big milestones, those big things that prevent us from hanging out and drinking beers and talking about movies and horror, they're by the wayside, and this whole month is reserved for us.
This is our month.
This is our month. This is my birthday month. This is when I was popped out of the womb. I popped out of the womb for all of you people.
That's how it was. It's like, pop.
It was really easy. It was very easy. So this month will be fun. I think we have 5 weeks in October, so we're gonna. Dare I say? Including this episode, we'll have 5 episodes from now until Halloween. Maybe.
I hope so, but
no,
please don't promise.
Even if it's solo, I'll do one solo if I have to. God damn it.
Okay.
But this episode is going to be nothing about colds. We're going to move completely on to our favorite time of year, which is October, the entire month of October, right?
It's
Fall.
the best. Yeah. It's the best month of any month, like top month. There's nothing that could be argued against October.
No,
it's perfect.
Do you say fall or autumn, or do you like?
I want to say autumn because it sounds classier, but I say fall most of the time by default.
Same. Do you say soda or pop?
I do say soda.
All right, same. All right. Okay, we're good here.
All right, we're on the same page. We're from the same place. Story checks out. But yeah, we just wanted to kind of, I think the plan is just to kind of do some October spooky stuff, talk about our favorite things. And I think we decided, we were talking about haunted house stories, and I had recently been working on like stories from my childhood and stuff. And one of the first things I wrote was about a haunted house I lived in. So I was like, I should probably just read that, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then you can hear a story of mine, and I've been trying also to, I have this like an author YouTube page, and I've been trying to like read stories on it and publish it so people can like listen to my stories and not just be forced to read them like it's the 19th century or something. So I thought I'd read this, and then maybe I can use it for that too. So 2 stones, 1 bird, something like that. Wait, no. Is it the other way? 1 stone, 2 birds?
2 birds, 1 stone.
Yeah. Because 2 stones with 1 bird is just inefficiency. That's just not good. But yeah, I'll start. Do you have anything, or should I just start reading my story?
Let's go right into the story.
Okay, I'll try my best. I've never read this out loud, so I don't know how well I'll do. I'll try to give inflections and all that stuff.
I'm going to mute my mic.
Okay, here I go. I just titled it The Haunted House. Straightforward. All houses are haunted. The memories that live within them paint the walls the colors of their history. Bad houses feel gray and sad. Happy houses feel warm and welcoming. But most houses are a little of both. So many memories that the structure becomes a conglomeration of colors. Nothing dark, nothing light, nothing happy or sad, just a mixture of it all. The color of life. This house was different. It was all dark, all sad. It lived in the shadow of the Patey House Museum, a gathering place for the haunted items of St. Joseph. It lived in a neighborhood abandoned by prosperity. It lived in a neighborhood where the residents had to chain lock the hoods of their cars to ensure that the battery wouldn't be stolen overnight. It was a dark structure and a dark place. I was 6 years old. I remember following my mother into the home as the landlord showed us where we'd be living. Whoever lived there before had either left in a hurry or was forced to leave. All their items were strewn everywhere, scattered on the floor, piled high against the walls. We walked through as my eye caught the movement of something that flirted with the peripheral vision on my right side. I glanced over. A ball rolled through the room. No one to push it, no one to catch it. Just a little lonely ball rolling through an empty, dark room. I clung to my mother's dress as we continued. She always had a dress to dress to. She always had fabric to hide in. As a Pentecostal, any other garments were sinful for a woman. Pants were for men, shorts were for harlots. Dresses, skirts, and on occasion, very modest culottes were what was expected of women. Men could not wear shorts either. That much of the leg is the landscape of the devil. Boys, though, could wear shorts, as the temptation of Satan generally waited for the teen years. So that dress was especially comforting and safe. It was predictable and known, but even the dress couldn't protect me from this place. Doors would open. Doors would slam. Deadbolts would lock themselves. Light bulbs would explode. And then there was the night that the house came for me. I can't recall if I had my own bedroom or bed, but I do remember I usually slept with my mother in her room. On this night, I rolled over to find she was gone. I was alone in the darkness, or I thought I was. Then I heard the creak. It came from the corner, the darkest part of the room. Something was there. Something was feeling in the darkness with a condensed shadow, a black mass of something refracting the blackness of the already dark room. It moved. It stood. Something falling from its shoulders. It was as if it was hiding under a cloth and gravity slipped it away. The floor creaked as it took a step. I was frozen. My hand squeezed the blanket tightly as the frantic breathing from my nose moved it back and forth. Commands ran through my mind: run, hide, scream. But nothing happened. My body could not escape the fear. The blanket could only move from my shallow breathing. It approached the bed. I managed to close my eyes. It was as close to running that my body could accomplish. I felt the weight of the thing mount the bed, the springs sagging and moaning as I stood on it. I felt a step, another step, a closer step. Then I felt breath. Not my breath, not my shallow breathing that tickled the blanket. No, this was hot breath. It was foreign breath. It was inches from me. My 6-year-old body had had enough. My body bolted towards the door, leaving the blanket, bed, and breathing behind. The hallway light was on, and the brightness nearly blinded me. It was like moving from one world to another. I slammed into the wall and fell. My mother came running up the stairs, her eyes showing the frantic eyes of parenting. She began cooing with the soothing tone of mothers, all while the register of fear tickled at the back of her throat. Picking me up, she entered the bedroom, my face pushing into her shoulder so hard that it could have left a bruise. We tore the room. There was nothing. Nothing on the bed, nothing in the corner. Just a room, a haunted room that felt bad. I nuzzled into the side of her body for the rest of the night, trying to find safety in her warmth. Looking back as an adult, I realized this house was dilapidated, falling apart from age and disentrance. The hauntings quite possibly completely natural. Doors would open. Could be that the foundation slanted. Doors would slam. The house was probably drafty, the walls giving up on any resistance. Deadbolts would lock themselves. The locks were old, giving up on their purpose. Light bulbs would explode. The electrical system could have been frayed from causing surges. The monster could have been sleep paralysis. But regardless, this place haunts my memory. It lives there, a permanent shade of gray. But the only photo of me in this house is happy. I'm smiling on a big wheel, looking into the camera with a posed sense of excitement. Memories are what haunt us. Memories can shift, they can change, they can become untrue. You can remember something clearly that may have never happened. I remember trembling in this house. I remember dreading walking through the halls. But the photo disputes this. In the photo, I'm a happy child. No darkness. Empirically, from the evidence, this was a happy place. Left in the hands of the historians, this would be a happy home. But I can't help but remember the dread, the fear, the darkness. Even now, I look at the photo and I stare at the shadows beyond me, at the lone dangling light bulb piercing the darkness, a bulb I can remember exploding. Sometimes I'm sure those shadows stare back, waiting patiently for that bulb to explode, waiting for the darkness to return. The end.
I don't think you ended that so happily. You should have said, "Big beat." The end. That's based on a true story. That's your real.
That really happened, yeah.
I mean, obviously, very dramatic tone you took here.
Here, I'll show you the photo of me.
Oh, I don't want to
Can you see it?
Well, hang on. Where is it? Why isn't it? Oh yeah.
See, so I look
You're
really
on
happy.
the big wheel like we always were when we were young. Every kid is on a big wheel.
Yeah, and that's that house. And then you see the little bulb back there. And I just I still honestly look at that dark part of that photo and it still kind of makes me nervous. That's how that house had an effect on me. So, yeah, but that's all the true story. Nothing, I mean, I used words as writers do, but like nothing in there is something that I made up. It's all things that I remember.
Do you think it's had a true lasting impact on you?
Oh yeah, like it's I'm a skeptic. I don't believe that dead people walk around this earth still. I don't. Right. I don't believe like ghosts or that. But I also have that little like nervousness in here when I hear those stories or when I'm in a scary house or something. I think it's because of this. Like it just kind of reminds me. And I do believe in like energies. I know it sounds like hippie stuff, but like I believe like bad energies like have bad things followed around and stuff. So I mean, I could follow the logic that like a house could just have bad energy.
Yeah. Bad energy is like probably the cause of thing. I mean, at least in my experience, like I've been in places where I'm like, this place feels haunted, and there's just like this. I don't know. There's just bad. There's just bad feeling, and when you leave it, it completely resides.
Yeah.
And it's just like has to be related to something that happened or is happening in that house, right?
Yeah, I like to throw like the pseudoscience that I don't really. I mean, I took biology in college, and I know some things, but I'm not a scientist. But I like to use like the like the negative and positively charged neurons and the way we know the universe works. I think like that probably applies to what we can feel because that's what we are. So I think like places that have negative things, like if you use that parallel, like I think that we can feel it. I do believe that. I don't have any proof for it, and I'm totally pseudosciencing, but I do believe like you meet people too that have just like succumbed to like negativity, and it follows them around. You see it like that, like they never escape it because it's just that ball of negativity they have around them.
Why do you think? Why do you think houses? I guess like why do you personally think houses hold like energy like this more than other places?
I don't know. I think I would argue that my entire hometown holds this because it's just got such a history of like racism and like classism and stuff. Like it's hard. Like, the whole town's very like separated. There is this like small section of like rich area that seems nice, and then you go to like other stores that seem nice, but then there's this whole area that's just, it feels bad. And I do think that like whether it's just the cumulative effect of bad events affecting current events, I think that applies to houses too. Like I don't know. I think there's just like bad things that happen places, and if that starts like the way the balance, like too many bad things, it's hard to escape that when you feel it.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. I just like the positive and negative energies seems like a relatively easy explanation for it, right?
Yeah, and I think it's more of like I am not a spiritualist, or like I'm an atheist, and I'm a cynic, and I don't really give into like spiritual or give into fancies of spirituality either. But I do think like there's some science there that we don't understand yet.
Yeah,
like energy and stuff.
Is that what you think in relation to like most paranormal supernatural things? Like we sometime probably will understand what's actually happening, but right now it's just purely unexplained, and maybe it's actually happening to people, but it's something that one day we'll all understand.
Yeah, absolutely. I do believe that. And I mean, I think I've talked to you about this in the past, maybe off mic or on another podcast, but I've read like the history, like as time, we think of it as like a straight line, right? But like there's like theories that it's more spirally. So there's like times are right up against each other. And I like that theory. Like sometimes things are so close together that they kind of leak into each other. So sometimes we see like residual energy and stuff. I could buy into that. Like when people see people like apparitions from the 19th century, I totally believe the people who see that. I don't think they're lying for attention or anything. I believe they saw it, but there's like so many like, because our brain fills in the blanks too. So we see weird things sometimes that aren't there. But I also do think like, I like that theory of like someone could have been in that house 80 years ago, like getting ready to go wash the dishes or something, and you see them walking through just because of the time being like this. I like that theory.
Yeah, I think that's a good one. I mean, I think I'm pretty close to a hybrid of that, and truthfully wanting like the magicalness of all things horror. I think that's why I love horror so much, is like it's the closest to being those feelings of like being a kid and a child, and like whether that's being scared or witnessing something magical. Like we all thought, Santa Claus was real, and it's just like it's the closest like hope. It's like seeing a ghost. It's like, well, if that is real, then it's better than just like our crappy, crummy, like real boring and sometimes horrific life. Because there's something more, but more likely than not, I'm on your side. Oftentimes, where it's just like it can be explained, we just don't figure it out, and there's probably like, a glitch in our world of sorts. That's some kind of weird overlap, time or energy or something like that. So,
I don't think I can ever be convinced that what people think, like this guy committed suicide here and his spirit still walks these halls. I don't think I can ever believe that ever. Like,
unless you saw it.
I'd still like, I don't know. Myself would talk myself out of it with like because like most of those people go ghost hunting at dark, right? And then you see, like, your brain sees things, like there's all those experiments where you can see like pieces of things, but your brain will put it all together and you'll see the whole picture. Like they'll do like the half the dots or something,
Yeah.
or they'll move words around and your brain makes the sentence. Like it is very adept at making connections. So like if you're in shadows and something moves or something happens, like your brain makes images. Like it tries its best to like make sense of what's happening.
Fill in the blanks. And
yeah. And sometimes it's because you're there and you're walking in and like, let's go see the old Colonel Billings or whatever. And then,
Colonel
then
Billings,
you see it.
Classic. Let's dive into the history of Halloween. And there's a part, the only thing I have here to talk about is I think a puzzle piece that I don't know if you'll hit upon, which I'm kind of excited to add into yours. And then I have a creepy Halloween related story / mythology. And then we're going to get into our shared top 10 list of our favorite things of the season, whatever that equals. And that we don't know what that's going to be. But let's talk about Halloween as we know it as a holiday and how we got here.
Mm-hmm. Do I start that?
Oh, yeah.
Go? You said you did lots of research. I didn't want to step on your toes.
No.
Well, I mean, the most popular theory is that it comes from like the Celtic speaking, like Scotland and Ireland and up there, like those like I guess pagan roots of it, where it was the end of the harvest. Like it was originally like what was it, October 31st? I should take better notes. It was like a time. It was like 31st to like, it was like a week. It was like the Hanukkah of like end of the harvest kind of thing, where it was kind of a celebration of the end of the harvest and fall coming and winter coming and darkness coming. But they also believed that was like the closest that, like, I guess for lack of a better term, the other world, like the barrier between that and us thinned. So they believe like spirits could be contacted more easily, like ghosts could walk, demons could be present. It was just like, it was a scary time for them, I think, because they believe this stuff. And so it was the scary time of the year coming for survival. Like they had to make sure that their crops would last through the winter and that they had food and stuff. And they believe like death was really close, and in one way or another. So that's kind of how it started. You have anything you want to
add? No, not necessarily to the starting. I just have like some miscellaneous Halloween facts and traditions that I found relatively interesting.
I did find like
the myths and
I found like the name Halloween comes from when Christians came into the picture, as they always do. And so Halloween is the 31st, which is the evening before the Christian holy day of All Hallows Day. So Hallows Eve, meaning the evening before Hallows Day. So Halloween, and then Halloween came out of that somehow. So I thought that was interesting. I never actually read that. But it was basically another example of Christianity, like Christmas and Easter and this, and I'm sure there's others where they kind of placed their Christian holidays on top of existing pagan holidays, just to kind of assimilate followers, so that they'd be into that. Another interesting thing I found is that like North America wasn't celebrate, like the colonists, like in the early colonies didn't celebrate it at all. It wasn't until like mass Irish and Scottish immigration around in the 19th century the Halloween became a major holiday here. So the Celtic people brought it with them. So I thought that was interesting.
One thing I can add here while you go through your notes is jack-o'-lanterns, the tradition of carving pumpkins, was typically, because we're talking European roots for Samhain and Halloween. They were typically done in like turnips and potatoes and things like that. And actually, for Americans, like most of how we got Halloween is during the 1840s, when there was potato famine happening in Ireland. So many immigration. That was like the great big Irish immigration to America. And when they came over here, they brought their traditions, and one of their traditions was Halloween. And of course, we don't really have turnips here, not especially on the East Coast, but we did have pumpkins. So they grabbed the next best thing, and that's where they started carving pumpkins. But originally, they would carve anything because, according to the Celtic lore, an old man would play tricks on the devil, and then you don't play tricks on the devil, and the devil denied them entrance to hell, and he was already denied into heaven, and that old man was condemned to wander the earth, and because he was a dick, he would have a lantern, and he would try to lead people astray from their paths and take them with him into the no man's land, basically.
And his name was Jack. Did you say that?
No, but we could say that.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that because the jack-o'-lantern, that's where that comes from.
So I think the reason we carve those, I'm guessing there was no this definition, but I'm guessing we do that to make it so what he was doing is just watered down. Like now there's 10,000 pumpkins, so his is just one of the many, and he can't really pull people astray.
Yeah, it's basically, and the jack-o'-lantern, I guess, is basically like an item to scare away evil spirits because it represents a soul who has been denied entry into heaven or hell, like Jack there, who was kind of don't be a dick to Satan. I think that's kind of
I mean, what are we doing here? And then I have candy. The reason we eat candy on Halloween is, and this comes from the Celtic stuff as well. They would call their treats soul cakes, and they were typically made from expensive spices like saffron and currants, but they were cakes meant to honor and distract ghosts over the Halloween weekend, and eventually that became beggars would go, because again we're talking mid-century when people weren't rich, right? And beggars and less fortunate people would go door to door asking for these soul cakes from wealthier people who would, I guess they would like offer to help them get rid of the dead in return, right? But they didn't say trick or treat. They said a soul cake, have mercy on all Christian souls. For a soul cake, a soul cake.
It's a lot of soul cake.
I mean, yeah, I think that the song and the rhyme could use a little work, but I thought that was pretty fascinating that soul cakes is one of the things that they would do, and how we got kind of door to door trick or treating. And it's interesting that like all these pieces from different similar people celebrating similar holidays, of course, coming from pagans and the Celtic traditions, going into merging into Christian traditions, and then coming across the sea, and like it's a game of telephone kind of, and we got this like hodgepodgey version, which is now like we kind of bastardize what the holiday used to be, and now that's the same thing that's happening in Europe now. Like, yeah.
I like the term bastardization too, because this used to be like a terrifying holiday. Like it was not cute. Like it's pretty cute now. Like a lot of people just have fun. Like look at here. I'm going to share another thing, and can we share these in like in our notes or something for people who listen on the podcast? But look at this. Oh, yeah. Look at this jack-o'-lantern.
That's a jack-o'-lantern.
Yeah, it's a traditional Irish Halloween turnip. Yeah, lantern. Okay. That's a jack-o'-lantern.
Turnips are much scarier looking than. That looks like a mask.
That's terrifying, and it's got little teeth, and like I don't know, it's terrifying.
Also carving turnips, and I think a pumpkin's a lot easier than a turnip or even like a potato.
I would think so. Yeah, it seems like you have more precision that you need for a thing, and like if you just go through and look like early Halloween costumes or something, they're terrifying. Like it wasn't like
vintage photos.
I'm gonna be
horrifying.
Ariel, yeah, they're not gonna be like Pocahontas this year or whatever. Like they're not gonna be a Disney princess. It was terrifying. So that's I kind of wish we'd go back to that a little bit because, I
was gonna say I was just gonna talk a little bit about some of the other traditions they had, like. They would, with Samhain, they would have fire festivals, I don't know if you read much about that, but they would have 4 quarterly fire festivals taking place at the midpoint of the equinox and between the fall equinox and the winter solstice.
Is that the FYIR fest, like the FYRE, like the one where you rip people off and give them bologna sandwiches?
No. So during this time of year, hearth fires in homes. That's what we used to call it a hearth. Now it's just a fireplace. But they would let them just burn out rather than like letting them die out or putting them out themselves. And while they went to go harvest, and after harvest work was completed, they would have druid priests. They would come to their community and light fires using a wheel that would cause, sparks, the old fashioned way of starting a fire. But that was a representation of the sun, and they were using prayers, and they would sacrifice cattle, typically cattle, but sometimes sheep. And then they took the flame from the bonfire and they would bring it back to their house to relight their hearth fires. Which I thought was just like a really cool like community tradition. I'm like, yeah. I can only hear like dun 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 dun, like crazy drums happening. It just seemed really neat. But of course, they believed that the barrier between the worlds was breachable during this time, and that's when we talk about the offerings that were left outside either their houses or their villages. But these were for like, fairies and actual different demons. And during this time, like they kind of thought it was also a time of celebration for us, scary as it was. They anticipated their own ancestors crossing over during this time to like reach out to them or come back to them. So they would dress as like animals and monsters so that the fairies and the demons who were also out at the time wouldn't try to kidnap them and take them to their worlds. And so that's where like their costuming, I guess, came from, which is pretty cool, I thought.
I love that. Like, speaking of energies and stuff, do you think they made this like a darker time just by believing this? Do you think it feels that way because of the energy they put into it?
I don't know.
It's just a thought. But but in a general sense, that's one of the reasons I love this time of year, because I mean, you and I obviously love horror movies. And I love them for the same reason. It's just like, it's the one time a year in horror movies, books, comics, whatever, or like the one kind of art where you can really embrace like the darker part of ourselves and not like taboo it or like treat it, like sweep it under the rug, so to speak. Like we can really like explore things that are darker and scarier, but just as real as anything else. Like things that we just kind of repress. Like, I don't think that's healthy. We don't talk about any of this stuff and we just pretend we're like, oh, everything's fine. But like this time of the year and horror in general, like give us this outlet to really like maybe not explore, but like just be aware of the darker part of ourselves. And I think that's healthy. I think we need to talk about that and explore that and understand it.
Yeah. Well, I think for me, we can just briefly talk about our own, I guess, upbringings with Halloween. I don't know for you, for how yours was, but for me, my dad was a psychopath who was like the Clark Griswold, but for every holiday it was like, like 4th of July was he would spend $1,000 or a couple $1,000 on fireworks and we blow them all up. And it was like on Halloween we would decorate the house and we'd watch the Universal monster movies and we'd go all out. And then on Christmas, it was like we put up the lights and it'd be like this extravagant light show and everything. And then it was just a dark time, from January 1st to like June 1st or whatever it was.
No, like giant Martin Luther King Jr. Day for your household?
Yeah, no giant President's Day or anything. Nothing weird like that. But Halloween was just like the one that I connected to. I think like Christmas is like easy for everybody because it's like you get gifts. But like Halloween I think it's because, and as a kid you don't really know any of these traditions. You're just like, oh, you got to pick a costume and go door to door. And for my generation, it was it was truly going door to door. Like my parents never went with me. I think maybe when I was really really young, like maybe like up to like 3. But I had older brothers and sisters, so typically I would go with them. My sister was younger, but I think when I was like, I would guess 9 or 10, I started going out solo, with just like with friends, right?
Oh, okay.
So from like 10 to I think probably 13, maybe, or maybe 14, we would just run amok, and a lot of it wasn't just trick or treating, especially when it came like larger groups of friends. It was just like kind of general running around shenanigans. We didn't really do anything like toilet paper houses or anything, or smash pumpkins or anything like that, but we were just like out and about on Halloween night, had this like magical mysticism about it. And you know, it's something about not being able to see anybody's faces, and everyone's just kind of in these costumes, and whether they're scary or not, you just like, it's kind of creepy. It's just like you can kind of get away with anything because no one knows what you look like. And of course there's the thrill of the scare, you know, walking up to someone's door and like there's, you know, somebody in a costume and then they jump out at you, even though you expect it to still get you. And it's just like, it's almost like, you know, of course, I was gonna say a naughty holiday, and of course, like we all think like costumes are like ultra sexy or you know, like that. But it's almost like it's a celebration of all the things that are kind of quote unquote bad, and so it doesn't feel. It just feels, I don't know. It just doesn't feel like any of the other holidays, which are celebrating something specific.
That's it. You mentioned Christmas, and I can't stand Christmas. Like I mean, I irrationally hate Christmas. And I mean, a lot of it's my upbringing and childhood and all that we won't get into now. But I also think it's like very fake. Like it's very like goodwill towards men and all that stuff. Like that's not real. Like you throw a couple quarters to Salvation Army, you feel good about yourself. You donate some stuff and you're doing things. Like it's just like the special time to be like decent to other people and pretend that like everything's glorious and friendly and nice. And that, to me, that's like the opposite of what Halloween is and October is. It's just like this recognition that we have, like human civilization and humans personally have so much like darkness in them, and like Christmas ignores all of that, and it just really annoys me. It's the time to act like antithetical to everything that you do the rest of the year. And I think people use it like as an absolvement of not doing nice things the rest of the year. And I just hate everything about it. But Halloween, it's glorious.
But how was it for your upbringing? Like, what was it like? Was it just costumes and candy for you? Was it, what was it? What
Halloween?
Is it?
Yeah, it was exactly kind of how you described it. It's like, as a young person, just that excitement of like stepping outside of yourself and being something. Like I was raised, like as my story said, like Pentecostal, very religious, like religious, right? Evangelical, the scariest religious people you'll ever meet. But this was the time where my mom would kind of like look away and let me dress up like a vampire or whatever, like something a little darker. And that's how you could be like outside of yourself and go out in the world and like kind of have your cape and run around. And it just was amazing. It was just, like you said, like everybody has a mask on. It's just like the world is different that night. And I don't think any other holiday captures that. It's like just, it's a miracle. I don't know. It's just like this time where you escape from everything and become something else and just run through the night. And like you, when I got older, I went out with friends, and we never like, I was never a bad kid. We never like egged someone's car or anything, but you'd run around and you have fun. It was just great. And it's still, as an adult, it's the only holiday that I still have enthusiasm for. Every time I still dress up, I still like have fun. I think my costume this year is going to be, if it works out, I'm still working on the fabric part of it, but if it works out, I think it's going to be pretty glorious. Are you dressing up this year?
I mean, I typically do.
I know 2020 and the pandemic and stuff kind of ruined everything, but I still want to.
Yeah, I mean, you have a kid? Or is she planning on trick or treating or nah?
We haven't really discussed it, but I think, like, to me, if people are participating, I think that feels like it's okay with the pandemic, because everyone's going to be wearing masks anyway. And if it's like 6 feet, and like now that we've learned more about this pandemic, like it's not so much what it sits on, like candies and stuff. Like it's not really transferred from touch and stuff as much as we thought it was. I feel like it's probably pretty safe to like go outside from house to house, as long as you're not like in a huge crowd of strangers or something.
Well, you can tell that to the CDC, who said you should not be doing trick or treating or
Oh, is that
Halloween
true?
parties. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I'll respect them. They're scientists. I'm not. It just seems like if you have a barrier over your face and you keep your distance,
Well, I think
your candy.
I don't recall most people wearing costumes when I go door to door.
Like, what do they do? Just say, "Hey."
Well, like sometimes there's just like my mom would just hand out candy without like she'd have spooky stuff on her stuff, but the person giving candy, I don't think
they should be wearing a mask. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but they're in their house. You know, it's 2020, Eric. You know they're not going to do that.
I think like only like what is it? 38% of us might not do that,
which is a lot. That's all you need. Like,
mm.
Well, well, yeah. For me, it's shifted more into. I think for about 10 years now, I've done a movie a day or because sometimes that's hard. I typically do at least a horror movie a day, or at least 31 in the month. And a lot of there's perennial revisits.
Do you revisits? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was going to say, are you trying to do all new ones or?
I tried to find, it's very hard to find new ones these days for me.
The new quality ones. There's always a plethora of movies out there.
New quality ones. So I have been trying to dig further into deeper into the history. So
yeah, I think I would like that might be my new goal. Maybe I should, because I think I have like a deficit in international horror, like not from my age on, but like older stuff.
Yeah.
So maybe that's what I should like research and like start watching some like old like 50s, 60s, like European or whatever, Asian, maybe horror. I don't know. I should look into it.
Yeah. Well, I have one story here and talk about a little bit of a myth that's pretty popular. It's definitely popular when I was a kid. And this myth is it maybe won't happen this year because, well, this would be the year this would happen, I think, or happen again. But growing up, one thing, we were allowed to go and do whatever we wanted to as long as it was just like kind of like be safe and be home before midnight. And it's like, well, It's Tuesday, we have school tomorrow, but okay. And we'd run out to the stuff.
And I think I know where you're going, but I also just want to preface like how glorious. One of the best things about Halloween as a kid is when you go home and you just dump your bucket on the floor and start separating your candy. You start separating your candy out with like the shit candy and like the good candy, and like you start trading and stuff with your friends. Oh God, it's the greatest.
Yeah, that is absolutely the greatest like thing you could do, because you're the candies I would always get rid of at the time. Mike and Ike's, I'd get rid of all those for sure. Almond Joys, they can go.
I love Almond Joys.
Yeah, but as a kid, I don't know. As a kid,
I love coconut always. Like you and I should have Halloween together. We would have been trading like crazy. It would have been a success. We would have been a great team.
What were you gonna get rid of? I'll tell you if that success would have been real.
I think like, I'm trying to think of what I hate. Like the Whoppers. Fuck Whoppers.
Whoppers are just air.
It's like malted milk and it tastes like shit. Like Runts. I don't ever really cared for Runts. Twizzlers I don't really like. Like
these are all like pretty subpar candies. Like I wouldn't eat most of those. Like I would eat Twizzlers. I'd eat like one pack usually.
Oh, Three Musketeers too.
These are all bad candies. Universally agreed upon. Like that, no one wants all. That's all just like fluff, nougat, right?
It's nougat. Yeah, nougat is bullshit. Is what that is.
Yeah, it's not even a real thing. Caramel is,
but
nuts are, chocolate is.
Cookie. The one thing I love that everyone hates is black licorice. So I will take everyone's black licorice. Bring it here.
We don't really. Do they make small black licorice?
It's like it's usually like like the jelly beans. I think at this point they have that in there. Anyway, I interrupted your story. I'm sorry. But I feel like you're going to a candy related story.
I am going to a candy related story. So. What the only real rule we had was like to check your candy. And I remember like the news was like, razor blades and poison. Be careful with your kids' candies and make sure you touch it before they eat it. And
Just like that tone, like razor blades. And
yeah,
candy.
pretty much. And I was like, I would always roll my eyes, but like we kind of would like look at the candy a little side-eyed. I guess it is
Yeah.
like, it's like, wait, we're never supposed to take candies from strangers, except tonight we only take candy from strangers. But of course, upon looking further into this, I found out that pretty much that doesn't happen. There's a couple of stories like I will touch upon that curated this myth, basically. So in 1959, there's a dentist in California. They gave out candy-coated laxative pills to trick-or-treaters. He was arrested for outrage of public decency and unlawful dispensing of drugs. In 1964, a Long Island woman gave out packages of inedible objects to kids who she thought were too old to be trick-or-treating. Items like steel wool, dog biscuits, ant buttons. Nobody was injured, but she was prosecuted and pleaded guilty to endangering children.
Does she give like candy to the younger kids, or
yeah,
she separate? Did. Okay, so she's just like, fuck these teenagers.
Yeah,
have some steel wool.
The same year, there's reports of lye-filled bubblegum handed out in Detroit.
Oh shit!
And
that could kill you, right?
Given out to kids in Philadelphia. But they were never substantiated to be actual things, but they were reported upon. So that takes us to
the urban legend, right? Yeah.
That takes us to the real story.
Oh, there's a real story?
This is a real story. On October 31st, that's Halloween, Eric, 1974.
Before my time, even.
This is Pasadena, Texas. A family. We'll start with the father. The father's name is Ronald Clark O'Brien. With a name like that,
yeah, don't trust him.
Well,
I've never met a good Ronald.
O'Brien's neighbor and his two kids accompanied them to go trick-or-treating. They just like any other at our Halloween, they went to a house around their neighborhood. They visited a house that nobody answered the door. The kids were all like, okay, well, I'm moving on. And they ran to the next house while O'Brien stayed behind. Later on, he caught up with the group and produced 5 large-sized pixie sticks. And he gave one to everybody, saying, "Oh, the person who didn't answer, they came out. They gave me these pixie sticks." At the end of the night, they went home and they were dumping their candy out. O'Brien gave the 5th pixie stick, so there's 4 kids total with him, but the 5th one to a 10-year-old boy he recognized on the way home from church. His son asked to eat some candy before bed, and of course, he ate the pixie sticks. Now
those are also shit, by the way. Like, I'll give
pixie
all
sticks are
sticks
trash.
away.
Yeah. So he had trouble getting the powder out of the straw, so O'Brien helped him. Timothy said it tasted bitter, and O'Brien gave him some Kool-Aid to wash it down. Timothy began complaining of stomach aches.
70s.
Yeah, and ran
Here's
to the
some
bathroom.
Tang.
There's some Tang, son. And the kid started vomiting, and he started passing out. And then Timothy died on the way to the hospital less than an hour after consuming the pixie stick. Now, Timothy's death was from the pixie stick, of course. The whole community was scared because, like, oh shit, all my kids they have nothing but poison. They dumped their candy. They went to the police. And they gave the police their candies, trying to find out where the poison was. Now, at this point, they find the 4 of the 5 pixie sticks, and they none of them besides Timothy had eaten it. The parents of the 5th child became hysterical when they could not locate the candy, and the parents found the kid asleep holding the unconsumed poison candy.
Shit, that's like a movie.
The kid couldn't get it open because it's stapled shut.
Yeah, it's tense music. That's insane.
So all 5 of the pixie sticks had been opened with the top 2 inches refilled with cyanide and resealed with a staple.
Oh, fuck.
Of course, we know. I think we know. Do you know where this is going, Eric?
No, I really don't. I mean, besides, was it the father doing it?
Well, the police asked him, because his kid died, where you got the pixie sticks, and he's like, I can't remember the house exactly.
So it was him.
So the police became suspicious of O'Brien's excuses, and his neighbor had only taken
But he gave it to his kid, right? Like his personal kid.
Yes, and his kid's the one that died. Their suspicions increased after learning that none of the homes they had visited had given out pixie sticks that night.
No.
The police walked 3 times with the neighbors, and O'Brien led them to the home that the group visited, but the occupant did not answer. O'Brien claimed that he had visited the home before catching up with the group, saying that the owner of the home did not turn the lights on, but cracked the door and handed him 5 pixie sticks. He claimed to have only seen a man's arm and described him as being, quote, hairy. The home was owned by a man named Courtney Melvin. Melvin was an air traffic controller.
No way Courtney there's no way Courtney Melvin is hairy.
No, and he was working that night on Halloween until 11 p.m., so he was ruled out. As we go further, police learned that Ronald O'Brien was over $100,000 in debt and had a history of being unable to hold a job. He had 21 jobs in a decade. That's pretty good for a grown-ass man. He was suspected of theft at a local optical store, which he was fired from previous. His car was being repossessed. He had defaulted on several bank loans, and the family.
His kids have life insurance.
Yep. Police discovered that O'Brien had taken out life insurance policies on his kids in the months preceding Tim's deaths. In January 1984, he had taken out $10,000, equivalent to $51,000 this year. Life insurance policies on both his kids. 1 month before Timothy's death, O'Brien took an additional $20,000 policy on both kids, despite the objections of life insurance agent. So
but those two pixie sticks the only poison ones then? Like his kids'
all
poison?
5.
So he's going to kill other people in this just for an alibi?
In the days leading up to it, O'Brien had taken out another $20,000 policy on each child. So that's an equivalent of $50,000, which I think is like $100,000 today, or $60,000 total there, which is over $100,000.
But the other kid never took it, right? Like he never took the pixie. He never ate it.
Correct. So eventually they found out that he went to a chemical supply store in Houston to buy the cyanide right before Halloween, and then he was arrested and went to trial.
God, fuck this guy. Seriously.
Yep. He was arrested 5 days later. So he wasn't out there that long. Like this all went pretty quickly. So
that's like the I don't remember it exactly, but like the Tylenol scare when people before the safety lids and stuff.
Just so you're clear, he didn't die of old age. They injected him with poison 10 years later.
Like the death penalty?
Yeah.
They didn't give him a pixie stick?
The news called him. Are you ready for it? The Candy Man.
Ooh. I thought it was going to be like the Pixie something, like the Pixie Killer.
Pixie Killer. Pixie dust.
Yeah. But, yeah. It's always that. Like like I was saying, like the Tylenol thing, I think like the person who did that was trying to kill someone, but they also put it in like 10 other ones just for an alibi. So it wouldn't be so like traceable to like what they were trying to do. Like those people, like how do you get there? Like how do you get that like terrible?
You are desperate, I guess, and you want to sell your kid.
But your kid, I don't like that hurts. Like how could you be that person? God. Candyman.
So I thought that was a pretty apt story for this.
I didn't know if I heard that story. So I haven't heard that story really.
Those are the only real bits. The rest of it's like all kind of, she said or he said, she said stories. But
I wonder if that what started like the urban legend of it all then? Like just to be scared of it?
I think so.
Because that has a very deliberate like cause and effect. Like I don't understand how that would like expand to like the boogeyman kind of thing. I guess that's what we do. Apparently,
there's 1 to 2 tampering cases a year, and they're typically from a friend or family as a prank. Like that's like they're usually like sharp objects or like inedible objects, not poisoning.
Okay.
Most of these result in no injuries. So,
but like sharp objects to your friends or family is kind of a dick move.
Yeah. I put a grenade in here. Oops. Yeah.
Chocolate covered grenade. Caramel center.
Did you know, Eric, that, according to legend, if you put your clothes on inside out and walk backwards on Halloween night, you will see a witch at midnight.
Does it matter when you walk backwards?
I think it's just probably after dark.
Like, what if it's like 11:59? Do you just have time still?
I don't know. Did you know that in Scotland and Ireland, young people, when they would go goozing or trick-or-treating as we know it, that they would perform a trick like a song or a dance, and after that then they would be given like fruit or nuts or even coins.
I mean, I did know that, but I think that we should do that again. Like trick-or-treat is a little lazy. Like I think there should be a little more performative like part of this.
Yeah. Are you talking about Devil's Night now?
Yeah, I think so. But not like burning shit. But like I think there should be like some participatory thing instead of just like lazily walking around and getting your almonds.
I mean, you're dressing up, right?
I guess so.
You might as well put a little show on. Did you know in the 40s, trick-or-treating was stopped because wartime rations had taken sugars. So there was no, I guess, candies.
Nazis ruined Halloween.
Yeah.
That's what I'm getting out of that.
Here's some facts for you. 50% of children prefer to receive chocolate on Halloween over other types of candies. 24% of kids like any candy. 10% would choose gum. Eric?
What? Why?
Because they're fucking
sociopaths?
Dentist fathers. I don't know.
This is one of the harder Halloweens or like holidays for me now as an adult since I became vegan. Like there's so many things like I love that I can't have. Like bringing Reese's peanut butter. My kid doesn't like Reese's peanut butter cups, and they're just sitting there, and I can't eat them, and it hurts. It hurts my soul. It's bad. Well, they just got to sit there and rot.
Yeah. I don't know if I have anything else here for you. I'm trying to see here.
I think we did good. Like I felt good about this episode. I think we've captured what's so great. I think we need to go back to like our top 10 or whatever. I think we're ready for that.
Okay. All right. Whatever you feel like.
Okay.
Listen, like we're on the cusp of this season. I decorated on Labor Day, so I've had 30 days where I've had some Halloween decorations. I'm putting more out now, but I bought a full-size Sam from Trick or Treat, and he hangs from the tree. I love it.
That's amazing.
He looks incredible. He's got scary hands. I'm gonna send you a photo of what his hands look like when I get home. But it's quite the deal. Hey, did you know this year on Halloween it is a full moon, and also Halloween night going into the first is the time we turn back time. When we fall back.
Okay.
When we fall back, it is whatever that daylight savings time.
And 2020 has ruined it for us because
is that insane?
Yeah, it would have been so great if someone
Halloween night it's Saturday night. It's the best Halloween, and you get an extra hour, and it's a full moon. Come on, man.
If only leadership could have handled the pandemic like any normal leadership.
Some countries are going to have it's going to be a gas to go.
Like New Zealand's going to be partying.
Oh yeah, they're going to party for an extra. Well, they don't have daylight savings time, I don't think.
No, but still, they're going to be happy and they're going to be going around.
Well, they should get a free hour there anyways, right?
Yeah.
Just that one.
We'll give them an extra hour as a prize.
My final thing for you before I take you before we go into our top 10. I know you're excited to move on. But I wanted to let you know the most popular candies in a couple of countries. I'm going to do America last.
Okay.
Canada, the most popular, and I don't know who did these polls. This is per like candyclub.com, which I trust them.
Yeah, it sounds right.
Canada loves the Kit Kat.
I love Kit Kats. I'm into Kit Kats. Can't eat them anymore, but I like Kit Kats.
The psychopaths in Mexico, okay, they love Trident gum.
That's like the worst of the gums.
I mean, it's not a great one. Now, pretty much universal in the UK, Ireland, Australia, and India, Cadbury Dairy Milk Chocolate is...
Oh, that is like Cadbury eggs. God, that is heaven. in your mouth.
Did you know? I didn't realize this until I think last year. Ashley had told me that, well, she went to Canada and brought back all these fancy Canada treats. And then she educated me on how poor of quality America's chocolate is.
Oh yeah, it's bad.
Like it's low cocoa amounts. Like there's just not a lot of artisanness to it, right?
Yeah, I remember I had a friend and she grew up in Germany, like because her dad was like a military person, and she brought me some German chocolate. And yeah, we're screwed here. Like,
I mean,
it is. It's not even close. Like what we have here, like that's not true. Like now we have like some artisanal, like small businesses that make like some really good cacao, like chocolates and some delicious things. But like your Hershey's and all of that, it is awful. Like when you taste this other stuff, it is.
Yeah, I think
disgusting.
Fully right. It's awesome. Like how good other chocolate is, and just like artisanal chocolate. Like I remember having like, I think dark chocolate for the first time, and I was like, what is this? And then, but it was like Hershey's dark chocolate, and I was like 12, you know.
Yeah.
And then as an adult, it was like actually getting like real chocolate or cacao, and you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
And
well, that's and I like, not to keep talking about the vegan thing this episode, but like cacao itself, I can have. So like this like rich cacao, like not milk chocolate, I can have, and oh my god, like things it does to your taste buds, it's fucking amazing. Like what we're talking about, like the artisanal small places, that like these small businesses that do real chocolate.
We have one of the best chocolatiers in all of America here in Kansas City, Christopher.
Is that the Elbow? Yeah. Does he do cacao stuff, like straight cacao? I don't know if I'm sure he does.
I don't know. I'm sure he does. But what we were talking about, so we've gone over, you know, our kind of upbringing, like what we like to do now. Well, I don't know. Is it awesome being is this like one of the best times to be a dad where you're like, I get to have, this is it?
Yes. Because like, I don't know if it's just the personality that my daughter was born with or that I've indoctrinated or not, but like she loves horror and she loves all this stuff. So like this time of the year is like this weird combination of having a new best friend that loves the same things you do that you can hang out with, and reliving like your childhood, like dressing up and going door to door and all that stuff. Like it's like this weird, perfect conglomeration of just ecstasy. Like it's great. Like I don't remember what she was last year, but the year before she was like legit Michael Myers, and I'll have to put like the feed in my feed, like her picture in my feed. But she like nailed it so hard. And
well, and who are you, Eric? Who are you that year?
I think I was Melody. Like that's the year I think I cross-dressed, because my fiance is Melody, and that's the year that I went as her and she went as me. Because I believe last year I was Freddie Mercury, and this year you'll just have to wait and see. I have a pretty special plan.
Yeah, that's why I've always thought like it's fun watching my niece and my nephew when they were young grow up, but now they're like 20s. But I have two younger nieces, and I appreciate it a little bit more now. I'm trying to like sneak my way in to like educate them a little bit on horror. Like her birthday is also in October. One of the oldest one's birthday is in October, so I'm like getting her like now she's 6, so I'm like here's like you can start sneaking in a little bit more. Like she likes Hocus Pocus and like and The Nightmare Before Christmas. You know, the early things. So
does she believe in Santa still, or is she done?
I think so. And I think she'll be safe this year because like school's limited. I don't think I think like ages like 6 to 9 is, depending on where you live, is where you get exposed.
I'm just saying, like,
I would bet how far did your kid make it?
She was 5, I think.
Oh, and then
well, it's like, I couldn't lie to her. Like I told my ex-wife, my wife at the time, like I didn't agree with the Santa thing. I didn't want to lie to her. So I will like participate in all this stuff. But as soon as my kid asked me the straight up question, I'm not going to lie to her. She was 5 years old, driving in my car, and she asked me if Santa's real. And I'm like, no, it's just a game.
Yeah, that's a tough
one. Yeah, it was rough. But I was going to say the best entry horror, I think, for around that age is Gremlins. But there's a scene in there that just annihilates the entire mythos of Santa. So you have to be careful. Like if they don't believe in
yeah.
Santa anymore.
You're talking about his the big dialogue speech they have together?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Out of nowhere that fits into the movie.
It doesn't
Not
really
at
need
all.
to be there at all.
Yeah. But it ruined Santa forever. So if your kid believes in Santa, don't watch Gremlins. If they do, if they've moved on, then Gremlins is the perfect like graduation piece into horror. It's amazing.
Yeah. Well, I'm jealous. Like for me this year, I'll dive deep in, and I also owning the theater. Like we're showing 50 movies this year, inside, outside, and online.
Yeah.
That's a shit ton of movies.
It is.
And then I don't know. I'm trying to think what else. Like there's actually a good amount of releases coming out this year. So I'm always excited for the season. It's the best. It's the best time. It's the best time.
It's so good. Like there's like even beyond horror, like October is just perfect. There's nothing that anyone can attack October about. It's perfect.
You can't come out of October with anything. You got nothing.
No, nothing. I cannot think of anything that anyone could be displeased with October about.
Yeah, no. Well, let's dive into our top 10 collective reasons. So we're sharing. We're 5,
which we have not discussed.
We have not discussed it.
Redundancies and
so to prevent that. So I'm going to make you uncomfortable, and I'm going to make it a list starting with 10 to 1. So save your best for last.
Okay? I don't like it.
You got it.
No,
that's
I don't like it,
man.
I don't like it. I'm not good at rating things. I just like stuff. I don't like stuff better than other stuff. It's too hard.
I know you don't, but tonight you have to, buddy. You just gotta. You just gotta. I say.
Okay. All right. I'll do my best, but I might mess up and change my mind in between and move things around then, because you'll see all my anxiety come to the surface right now. So you brought this on. Let's do it.
You want to go first?
Sure. Number 10. Drum roll. I don't know if you can hear that. I
can hear it. Yeah.
Okay.
And number 10 on the best. Is this like the top 10 reasons we love October, or is it fall?
I think, sure, fall.
Okay. October/fall.
Yeah. This is getting tiring. Say something.
Are you gonna? Oh, am I going first?
Yeah.
Oh, I will say this is a long-winded one. So I'm gonna, if this were an actual list, like I had like one word or something or two words, and then more information underneath it, this is what it would say. It would say hoodie weather. So and what I mean by that is it's the best time of year, more so than spring, because in spring you're going from like real cold to like warmer weather, so you're airing on colder. But going from summer to fall, you're usually going a little bit warmer. So like right now, it's perfect. All my windows in my house are open every day, so it gets a little chilly at night. So
that's so good, like blankets on top and
put over your head because it gets too cold. You don't want to get to those cold lungs and noses.
No, I need a cold room to sleep in. Like absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, it's got to be freezing in my room to sleep and just get under my covers.
I'm for sure. My electric bill shows that. But right now it's like, it gets like 50 at night and it gets a little chilly and breezy. But for hoodie weather, I could wear like shorts and a long sleeve shirt. I can wear jeans and a short sleeve shirt. I can wear, and I can put a flannel or a hoodie over everything basically anytime. It's the best. And sometimes winter's like that, sometimes spring's like that, but guaranteed the last week of September, I'm breaking out the long sleeves and I might have shorts on. I might have whatever it is. It's just the best kind of feeling because the weather just rules my life.
I pulled mine up, but I had shorts. I have long sleeves on today.
I had a hoodie on when we started. I don't even remember taking it off.
That's off.
So number 10 is
hoodie weather.
Hoodie weather.
I think mine's really close. We might like want to talk about whether we want to include this or not. But my thing is like crispness, like the leaves and how the wind, like the cold air feels when you breathe it when you walk outside, and the sound of leaves.
I think
like
that's
that
different.
Crunchy sound.
That's different because that kind of can go over a little into the colder months. But the crispness, you're right. Especially in Kansas City, where we have such thick humidity.
Mm-hmm. just the feeling of breathing in fall, like that crisp, like cold, but not just like unpleasant air. And then like hearing people walk through leaves, like that crunch. God, it's so good. I'll sit on the porch all day, just listen to that.
Is it okay? I'm gonna put this one in, but I'm not sure. Do I want to use it here? Okay, I'm gonna use this one here.
Okay.
This might be too low on the list, but I'm gonna say pumpkin flavored things.
Oh God,
pumpkin flavored beer, creamer, coffee, pumpkin pie, pumpkin desserts. You go into the grocery store right now, there's pumpkin cookies, there's pumpkin everything.
I know. That's killing me now too, because there's a lot of that I can't have anymore.
Yeah.
But pumpkin beers especially, like I have no, like people make fun of the pumpkin loving crowd and all that, but like let us love what we love. It's amazing.
It's not your
pumpkin
fault.
Flavors. It's just so good. And let's not like under like represent how important nutmeg is to all this. Like nutmeg is an important flavoring. Like nutmeg is also beautiful.
Nutmeg is great. A dash of cinnamon, a little bit of vanilla.
Cinnamon,
yeah. So I'm going to say pumpkin flavored things. And, you know, a lot of people, I think pumpkin took a beating over the last decade. Like the pumpkin things.
It's like people just attacked it for some reason. They've picked,
I think it's great.
Yeah, it's just like a pop. I think because Starbucks made like pumpkin lattes, which are also really delicious. Like,
yeah.
So I don't understand, but they just made fun of it, and I think they attached sorority girls somehow. But if that's the case, sorority girls are so right in this point and this like subject. It's delicious.
Yeah,
and pumpkin, like it's one of the things like when I first started my journey into like. Because I hated beer for a long time because when I grew up, it was like Busch Light, like Coors, things that I can kind of like Miller, things I can kind of drink now and kind of appreciate. But when you're first entering, if that's your beer experience, it's not great. But like craft beers, and when that started in like the early 90s and beyond, when I started doing that, one of the first beers I had was Schlafly's Pumpkin Ale.
Oh, yeah.
And God, like that changed my life. So good. Like it's still good. Like it still gives me the taste of like nostalgia. Like I still love that beer.
Yeah.
Number 8. I'm just gonna lead off yours.
This is number 7.
What was number? Oh yeah, you're right. Number 7. Because
I'll recap up when we get to 5.
Okay, but I'm just gonna do mine now. It might be too low again, but you mentioned it. But like beer during this time, like the Oktoberfest, the pumpkin beers. The lagers, the
good stouts.
porters and the stouts that come out now, like it is magical. And like going back to my crispness and like that chillier weather, like a good stout when you're sitting on the deck while all that's going on, it's magic.
I think you're
I guess it's the best time for beers, I think, because you can't drink a stout or a pumpkin or whatever in the summertime, and IPAs and like lagers and all that stuff are fine then, but this is
and like a like a big imperial stout, that's a wintertime thing, but like right now, like a good oatmeal stout or just like a good milk stout even, like those are like, that's perfect. You put on a hoodie, you stay outside, maybe have a bonfire and just look into where you normally could see a Milky Way.
That's not on my list either, but can we give an honorable mention to bonfires? Or is that on your list?
It might be on my list.
Okay.
We'll see what happens.
Okay.
I think beer is a great one. I think that's Oktoberfest, especially this year. I've kind of been reliving my love for Oktoberfest. I think the last couple of years I haven't, but it's an important beer and it's a very great beer.
So good. Yeah, I have one waiting for me upstairs after we're done with this, and I'm pretty excited about it.
I might have to go make a pit stop. I don't know if I have any Oktoberfest in my house. So, number 6.
Mm-hmm.
Bonfires.
Oh, damn it! Are you serious?
Yes, I am serious. It's the perfect time of year. Like if you, especially if you live in a cooler state like I think the Midwest or the East Coast, this is the time we all like kind of relish where we bought these fire pits or bonfires, and we could do them and you could just do them so casually. You throw a couple logs out there and just kind of enjoy it, and it's perfect.
You can use you can use the dry leaves as kindling. It's amazing. I agree. Man, I didn't even think about bonfires.
The fire, like when you're outside, when you're walking and you have the crisp leaf, the air feels crisp. You hear the leaves, and then you get to the end of the street and you can smell somebody's like fire. Mm-hmm. It's just incredible.
I also love the feeling of when you have like a fire pit or bonfire, and the next morning when you wake up and you still smell like smoke. Like that's great. You're like, oh, I had a great night.
And then you take a shower and you're like, oh, here it comes. It's really opening my pores up.
Yeah, you got to exfoliate.
Yeah.
What are we on now? What number?
We are on number 5.
Ooh, I think this might be too early for this one, but I'm going to throw it in there. It's just like the respect and acceptance of horror movies at this point in time. Like that you can like admit to being a horror fan without getting that look, and people come to you for recommendations. And that experience of like, oh, you're the horror guy, and like everyone's into it and they enjoy it. Like that is a great part of this time of year. I don't know how to put that into like a short phrase.
What's your one word for that?
I guess horror movies, Horror. You're
going to put it at number 5, you think? Just horror movies?
I don't know. I'm just like riffing here.
I think I'm gonna say I'm gonna veto you on that. I don't think horror
it's too movies, too low.
Yeah, I think that's too low. I think you're gonna need something else. There's a handful here that you haven't done yet.
What that I don't know about? I didn't.
Well, we have 5 more spots to go, and I think I think there's.
Okay, how about this? Like this is another one that people don't talk about as much. That I find is music, like artists release the best albums this time of year. Like it's the time for like great albums. Like everyone releases their masterpieces in fall.
Okay.
Like I like you look at like, I don't know about 2020. I haven't really looked yet, but like traditionally great albums are released in the fall. And like, it's always that time when you can look forward to amazing albums. So music, how about that?
Music is a good one. Yeah. I feel like that's one you've mentioned every year. You're like, this is the best time for music. It's just like everyone's dumping them out there. I think that's true. I think I listen to the most music at this time. Like,
I think 2020 is a slight exception because I think people put stuff out earlier this year than they were planning to, just because of the pandemic and stuff, and just trying to make people feel better. Like Fiona Apple's album, which I think's my favorite album that I've ever heard from this year, was supposed to be released in October, but she released it earlier because she could tell that we needed it. So I think my point still stands.
Yeah. This is probably when I listen to most music, I think, throughout the year. Like there's just like perennial albums I listen to over and over again. It's just like, it feels like my whole like year is building up to listen to like the moody kind of gothic-y music is right now.
You're right. I did horror movies way too early. I apologize.
Yeah, you should chill. All right. So I was going to do it through the first 5, but I'll do it now. So number 10, we have Hoodie Weather. Number 9, we have The Crispness. Number 8, we have Pumpkins, or pumpkin flavored everything. Number 7, we have the best beers, Oktoberfest, pumpkin beers, stouts, etc. Number 6, we have bonfires. Number 7, we have, number 5, we have music, just the best time of year for music, new music, old music, every music. And with my number 4 pick, I'm going to say candy for candy's sake. I love.
I think that's too high.
Oh shit! Okay, are you gonna veto that?
I mean, I don't know if I have that power, but I think candy is like.
You do.
I think candy should probably be where, where Christmas is. Christmas.
You think it's? Oh, you mean it's too low? Like it's being in the top 5. You shouldn't be in the top 5.
No, I don't think so. Like
Oh,
candy
shit.
is. I mean, it's really well known, but like,
okay,
it's like junk. It's not that great.
Okay, all right. He's taking it off. Okay, so we've both taken them. Okay, I have something else here, but I think this is not low enough on the list. So I'm running out of things, and I could drop another one, but I don't think it's gonna be.
Can we just switch crispness? And that's hard to say. Like the crispy leaf thing with the candy.
Okay, yeah, I will accept that. We're gonna move. Going to number 9 is candy for candy's sake. I would say I eat the most candy at this time because it's just like I love the Halloween M&Ms mostly. I'm a sucker for marketing. Listen, I love the Reese's pumpkins. You know,
like the M&M pumpkin flavored ones. You need to check those out.
All right, I'll check those out. So that's it. Mine's pretty much done. Eric shot that to the number 9, and you have 2 more picks. You have number 3 and number 1, so don't fuck it up because I only have number 2.
I'm gonna go food one this time.
Oh,
that is chili. Like
chili was on my list. I didn't think it. I was like debating if this counts as a fall thing, but
it definitely does.
Okay,
like I think universally, anyone who when it starts getting colder, everyone thinks we should make chili. Like,
and this is the introduction to that. Sure, it lasts all winter long, but like end of September, right into early October, that's when like most people's first pots go on. Everybody gets really excited about it.
Like we just made this like a veggie chili that's made up from all local veggies from everybody around here, and good God, like
did you put pumpkin beer in it?
No, but I should have.
I'll tell you, I made pumpkin beer chili once, and it was incredible.
I can't imagine. I want that. Do it again and invite me.
Bring it over.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm very excited that you got chili in here. I didn't expect you to put chili. And I think 3 is a great spot for it because, listen, I love soup and I love chili, but I love chili more than I love soup.
Well, and there's something special about that first batch. Like you said, chili goes through the whole season and it's always great. But like when it's time, when the seasons change and you get that impulse, like, it's time for chili. Like that first batch you make, it's magical.
Yeah. Well,
so what are we at, number 2?
We have 2 left, and I think I have this correct.
Okay.
Here is what I believe I'm going to do. Are you ready for this?
Okay. Yes.
Do you feel like I'm going to do it right?
I don't know, but I'm really kind of scared because I have number 1, and that's terrifying.
Number 1 could only be one thing for me.
Okay. I'll save it. Yeah.
Here is what I have. For number 1, I have pumpkin carving. And picking. I would say like pumpkin patches. Pumpkin picking,
like pumpkin patch. When like the apple cider and the kettle corn and that whole experience.
It's all happening. Yes.
God, that's so good. Who could hate October? It's like the greatest. I just reiterate. Man, I want to go to the. Are they doing pumpkin patches in the pandemic? Can we do those still?
Yeah, I'm going next week.
Oh God, I need to go. Just put my mask on and go get some kettle corn.
I'm going during the week because I'm trying to avoid everybody. But yeah, and the ones I always go to have a bunch of like black hats. There's always like black hats there, and there's cider, and there's apples, and like it's you're on a farm usually. It's so fun.
That's what makes me wonder is because the one we usually go to is on a farm, and they usually put you on like the tractor and the trailer, and then they drive you out there to where the pumpkin patch is. But that's like a bunch of strangers around you. What are they going to do this year? You just walk it?
Maybe. But yeah, I mean, going to the farm and picking them, and then also carving. I love carving a pumpkin. It's
great.
It's there's nothing like it. It's something I've done since I was probably 6. And like scooping out the guts and like figuring out what you're gonna draw and
do you roast the seeds?
Hell yeah, I roast the seeds.
Okay.
Gotta roast the seeds.
So good.
And and it's always like 50-50. You do it right.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're a little soggy. Sometimes they're like perfectly crispy. You just
sometimes they're just totally black and you just like fucked it up.
Fucking burned them. You forgot them overnight. Too many pumpkin beers. Okay. That leads so I think that besides 2 things, this is a very copacetic list, I would say.
Yeah, I think so. And I think I know what number 1 needs to be since you vetoed it.
Yes, I had to veto it.
You're right. It is the best because it's what Halloween is what October is. It's horror. It's horror movies. It's got to be number 1. Like just being able to socially acceptably watch horror movies, and no one thinks like, oh, why are you watching that? That's too scary. Everyone's like into it. They're with you. Like, let's watch scary movies. The whole world.
Yeah, it's all mainstream, right? Like you have ABC Family and Disney Channel showing horror movies. You have everywhere you turn, depends on what channel it is. You're getting a Halloween sequel.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, AMC always plays like Halloween 4 through 6 or something.
It's great. I mean, it's truly an incredible time. And now with all these streaming options, you have the most diverse lists, curated lists. You have things like Shudder, and then you have, Netflix usually drops a handful of titles, and you just have all this good stuff like new and
I think Hulu's dropping a oh God, why can't I remember his name right now? Clive Barker. Clive Barker's got a new movie coming out on Hulu in October.
A real new one?
Yeah.
He made it?
Yeah. Well, he wrote it. I don't know if he made it.
Okay.
But it's called
Is it the Books of Blood?
Books of Blood, yeah. It's coming out on Hulu in like 2 weeks.
Is that a series or is it?
I thought it was a movie, but I don't know. I didn't look into it too much. I saw the trailer and it looks great.
It's well, it could be a movie. It's probably an anthology movie.
Yeah, like it looks great. So I'm really excited.
Well, and then we have the new Blumhouse stuff that looks good. It's on Amazon. It looks great. So we have a lot of stuff to look forward to, but it's so fun. This is like the time of year that all year, all we do is talk about horror movies and we dig them up and we look for like deep cuts and like new ones coming out. And this is the year where like everyone's on the same page as us.
Yeah,
let's
I know.
Give me recommendations. I'm like, crack my hands and like sit back and like let me give you some recommendations. It is the best time.
That's the time for us to shine. Like, let me tell you
what I've been working for, baby.
Yeah.
But there you have it. That's an excellent top 10 list. I think no one would refute this. So we have number 10, Hoodie Weather. Number 9, Candy for Candy's Sake. Number 8, Pumpkin Flavored Everything. Number 7, Fall Beers like Oktoberfest, pumpkin beers, stouts, etc. Number 6, Bonfires. Number 5, new and old music, the best time of the year to listen to music in general. Number 4, the Christmas of fall. The air is perfect. Number 3, chili, our first batches of delicious, hearty chili. Number 2, pumpkin picking and carving. And number 1, horror goes mainstream for the year. And that
I think my only edit, if you're okay with it, is the crispness needs to be moved with beer. Beer needs to be higher.
Yeah, you're probably right. Like the Christmas, because it's something that a lot of people don't really think about, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they recognize it. Like if we talk about it, like, oh yeah, that's great. I love the Christmas. But okay, you're correct. We'll switch those two.
Okay.
But that's our list. That's our perfect reasons we love October, the month, the season, the time, everything. It rules.
It's the best. Don't mess with it. Like
don't
there's there's nothing anyone can say bad about October.
So this was a good look. We came back. I don't know how long we've been recording. It could be 2 hours.
I think a long time. I think this is going to be a long podcast, but it's great.
Well, this was a supersized episode for missing an episode or two in September, but we wanted to kick off. You can tell our enthusiasm. We want to talk about it. We wanted to get you involved, maybe educate you a little bit on some of the myths and how we got here and where we're going to go. And I think this month we're going to explore maybe some new movies we haven't seen, and then some classics, and really dive into what some of our favorite horror films, Halloween horror films are. And I think there's 2 or 3 that we know will be on here. You probably know will be on here. And then there's probably 10 that we don't know. I don't know. We'll talk about a couple an episode, I bet.
Yeah. I think some of them are so mainstay that we should maybe just reference them and give them props, but like really do deep dives on lesser known stuff.
All right. Are you saying we're going to revisit? We're not going to talk about Halloween number 1, but we're going to talk instead about Rob Zombie's Halloween.
No, I refuse to do that. I refuse to do that.
I've only seen those movies once, and maybe twice, but I in my head I've seen them once, and I don't know if
I've seen Halloween once. Rob Zombie's first Halloween once, and then I turned off Halloween 2 about halfway through. So that's my experience with those movies.
All right. Well, you can always drop your suggestions to us. If there's something you think we should check out or you want us to cover, do it at nightmarehourpod@gmail.com. And we'll be back in the first week of October. And we'll be here the whole time, I promise. We'll try our best.
I had a lot of fun today. So yeah, let's do this. Like, this is a good
I
thing.
feel good about it. Like,
Yeah.
my life has settled down a little bit. We're ready for this. So strap on your hoodies, grab a bowl of chili and a pumpkin beer. We're in for some candy corn. This I don't like candy corn, Eric.
I don't hate it. I'm one of those people who's right in the middle. Like, it's fine, but I don't love it. It's just like this thing. But I can't eat it anymore because it's got gelatin in it.
Yeah.
So, and honey.
And that's made of horse hooves.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Well, gelatin is like animal fat and horse hooves, I think. Yeah.
Don't they make in there? This is a chat for another time.
Yeah.
We can talk about it later on our Is It Vegan or Is It Not podcast.
Yeah, I'm an expert at that.
Yeah. So, well, thanks for coming back. It feels good. This was a great episode. We hope you enjoyed it, and we look forward to bringing you more Nightmare Hours through the month of October into the long, cold, dark months of the winter. So, anything else, Eric?
I'm ready. I just want to start the season so bad right now. Like, let's just go have a pumpkin beer together right now.
I'm going to have a pumpkin beer. I have to go buy one, but I'm going to get one. We can have one.
Yeah, me too. I'm going to go buy one.
All right. Well, the hour may be over, but the clock keeps ticking. That was the Nightmare Hour podcast. We appreciate you listening in. And please, if you liked it, please tell your friends, family, give us reviews, and help us grow this little podcast. We're going to be here until we are allowed to be.
I think this one might be Nightmare Hours, but we'll see.
Okay.
But it's good. Thank you so much, and we'll be better. And thanks for listening and all that stuff. We appreciate it always.
So, all right. We'll see you next time.
Yeah. Toodles. You can't say toodles in October, can you? That's not okay.
Stay scared.
Okay, stay scared. All right. Cool.
Perfect.